guys, welcome to another episode of Midnight Madness Chats with Hardman. I've got a band all the way from Poland that recently achieved what many of us dream to achieve. Playing one of the biggest stages in the world, and they finished second. Introduce your band, introduce each band member that's on here, and tell me who's missing.
Yeah,
Let's
Hi.
let's let's start with uh, Casper, right?
Yeah, that's me. I'm the lead singer. Uh, my pseudonym is Captain Paradox. That's the stage name, and I'm responsible for the vocals, for yelling, screaming, and going nuts on the stage. And that's
And
pretty
your
much
band
it.
is
Aquilla.
Aquilla. Awesome. Hippie, introduce yourself.
Hi everybody, I'm Hippie. I play bass and take care about any logistics. So if you want us to play at your city, reach out to me. Do not hesitate.
And then lastly, Pete, introduce yourself.
Hi, I'm Pete Slammer. I'm the drummer and social media manager and all that kind of stuff that's happening around the band.
And a founding father.
And the founding father.
So when listening to you guys speak right now, I see that everyone has their own functions, not just as a band member, but all the admin and PR and all the stuff that happens behind the scenes that no one really knows about. So tell me about the work ethics behind your band. I think Pete, as a founding member, why don't you go ahead and give me that one?
Sure. So as you said, that's the side of playing in band that no one except the band really knows about. And besides playing our instruments and composing our songs and melodies and all that stuff, we have to obviously manage our social media. And that's the part that I'm mainly taking care of. There's also all the booking and organization stuff, and that's where Hippie shines. There's also all the graphics and pictures and all of those stuff for merch, for social media posts, and that's also the thing that I take care of. And the rest of band mainly focuses around writing lyrics. That's Captain Paradox. Writing the songs. That's our guitarists, Jasper the Phaser and Chris Invader. And we all try to focus on our our stuff to keep the band going.
Captain Paradox. Why? Where does that name come from?
That's I don't know, man. It's just it's a coincidence. Actually, I did came up with that nickname for another band that I was involved with called Dildoid. That was a bit of a kind of a laid back space rock, very Hawkwind inspired band that me and my friends were goofing around and playing trippy, hippy dippy music. And each one of us came up with a pseudonym for his own, and that was mine. And then when the opportunity came in to work with Aquilla, I just thought that, hey, my previous band was space themed. This one is space themed. How about just a bit of a multiverse merging? I teleported myself from one universe to another, and now I'm on the Aquila spaceship as the captain, so to speak.
Hippie, tell me what was happening. We're taking this way back when, before Wacken happened, before you guys decided, like this year, 2024, we are going to enter the Wacken metal battle in Poland. Tell me what was happening in the band just before you guys decided that this is what you want to do, and tell me the approach you took to the Wacken metal battle.
Well, in general, we are rather skeptic about any competitions, music competitions, because in Poland, at least, on multiple occasions, those turn out a little bit not that clear. What are the rules? Who's winning? Why is winning? So we of course, obviously, we always send our music to all those kind of events, but we didn't expect anything. Like it was a strategic decision not to expect anything to get anywhere. And well, it turned out this particular one was lucky for us. So as soon as we get to know that we're there, we started preparations for bigger stages, because it was rather obvious that those gonna be big stages, real stages with a lot of work needed to be done prior to that. So apart from regular rehearsals, apart from finishing the album that we started recording not that long ago, we started adding additional stage rehearsals to our schedule. So, to present our music, our show, our idea, our entire universe that we're trying to picture, to crank it up to the highest level possible. Well, I guess we did our part with that, reaching the second place.
You guys performed very well. I was watching all the way from South Africa, and I was also inspired, and I thought, this band is really good. So Pete, tell me about working with Sylvia. Obviously part of the Wacken crew. Tell me about the experience when you now decided you're doing this, you're playing, and tell me about the environment that the band created around this battle.
So working with Sylvia was actually a very good experience, very pleasant one, because she's very passionate about Wacken Metal Battle, to the point that when we reached the final 5 bands, I think, she was calling us on our personal phones to ask about the stuff that we are going to bring on stage, to make some promotional materials. She was, in general, as I said, she was very passionate. And once we won the Polish stage, she kind of took a role of our manager of sorts. She managed all the contacts with official Wacken staff. She helped us organize, gave us tips, what we should prepare, and what we should focus on. And all throughout the main final of Wacken, she guided us of who to talk to, how to play, and all that kinds of stuff that helped us win the second place.
Mm. So, Captain Orthodox, tell me about the day before, or the day of the big stage. You guys traveled all the way from Poland to Germany. Things are about to happen. You've got a short slot, which is, I think it's about 20 minutes, if I'm not mistaken. You're about to perform. And tell me about, like, just before, especially as a front man, this is now your moment. How did you feel? Obviously the nerves and all that.
The nerves are always there, but we've done this so many times on smaller venues, bigger venues, that you kind of grow desensitized to all the stress, because it never goes away, really. But at that point, I was like, yeah, of course, it's somewhere in the back of my mind. There's a shit ton of stress, but I'm not gonna think about it at all. You just have to put that little switch in your brain to kind of shut it off and just stay focused on, okay, this is the moment. Just try to do your best. Go out there, fulfill your duty to the audience and to the band, and yeah, just stay as sharp as you can at any time. So it was, I was just focused on delivering a good show, and really just constantly thinking that, yeah, this is where I always wanted to be. This is right where I belong. Yeah.
Pete, tell me about your experience. Tell me about when you were on that stage and there's that big crowd standing in front of you. And I mean, it's one of the biggest stages in the world. So tell me about what was going through your mind while you guys were performing.
Well, first of all, it was like a reward, for all the hard work we've been doing prior to that, and we were kind of aiming for the. I think I was prepared as much as possible. It was, of course, amazing to see all those people, but it was so early. It was 11 a.m., I think. So it was over 1,000 people, 1,500, something like that. So it was, yeah, finally we made reach another milestone in our journey. So I was rather calm but excited at the same time, if you know what I mean. Reward, yeah.
So yeah, that's
Yeah,
the
just
one thing about Wacken for the people that don't know, you don't get to choose your slot. They give you a ticket, you pull a ticket, and you play the slot you're given. So sometimes you're lucky and you get the prime slots later, and sometimes you're unlucky and you're playing in the morning. But I'm pretty sure from a Wacken point of view, it doesn't matter what time you're playing, you're going to have a great time. I mean, great
exactly.
stage. Exactly. Pete, tell me about your experience. Tell me about camping as well. Is it a weird experience to camp out and then play a show? I think it could be. You know.
Yeah, I think I may offer a unique perspective on the show because, as we mentioned, I was in the band from the very beginning. Like we're coming close to 10 years of playing as Aquilla as a band, not in this lineup, but in general. Uh, and it is unique because if you told me 10 years later that in 10 years I will be playing with the same band on Wacken, I would just laugh off. It was like a joke then, yeah, we're going to play Wacken one day and it's going to be great for 1,000 of people or even more. And actually, on the Polish finals, I was really scared because for the first time we played in one of the biggest clubs in Warsaw, in Progressia. And when I sat behind the drum kit, I felt like I was made of jelly. I was shaking like hell. And as soon as I hit the bass drum for the first time, I thought to myself, I'm not gonna make it. It's going to be awful because my PA was so cranked up, the bass was so high for me that I could feel it all throughout my body. But we managed, and we managed to go to Wacken. And actually, on Wacken itself, I wasn't stressed out at all. I felt a bit desynthesized, as Captain said, and it was great. I can't remember much from it because I kind of blanked out and just played my part at the show. But it was great, and it was one of the best memories of my life, I think. And about the camping part, yeah, it was a bit weird, but we've been to festivals before, and we are used to camping on festival grounds, so it wasn't that bad. We kept all our stuff in cars, so we just had to sleep in the sleeping bag and bags, and that's all. They took us with a big car to the stage, like true stars. So it was great experience also.
So coming back to Pete, so you guys obviously had lineup changes, and you being from way back when. Tell me about your new lineup. Tell me about working with the captain and working with Hippie. We recently also have gone through a lineup change in my own band, and it's disruptive from times because now it's basically like you're starting again from the start, because you well, especially if you have multiple vocalists, but you have to basically start from fresh because now you have to learn new, people's manners and what they do on stage and how they perform. Tell me about that. Tell me about your new lineup and how the changing the lineup disrupted the band for that period.
Yeah, if you play in bands, you kind of know that it comes naturally, the lineup changes. I feel like many bands struggle with the same thing, that people in bands often get bored. They change their musical preferences, and it kind of happens naturally. And it also happened in Aquila as well, unfortunately, but fortunately because this lineup is great and I love this lineup. The main change that went, I would say, was changing the vocals, because Blesh was our vocal for many years and was kind of staple of Aquilla. And then we had to change it to Captain Paradox, who is absolutely great singer, great songwriter. He has an amazing voice, and I love him. And I feel like the disruption that you talked about, it actually didn't happen as much with this lineup, because all the new members that came, so Captain Paradox and Jasper the Phaser, were already great musicians and great buddies to hang around with. And we kind of all were focused that we have to write new music and we want to release new album. So as soon as they joined the band, we started working on new music, and we wrote a really good material that I hope we will release soon.
Awesome. So I've got a question for the captain, and then after that we're going to play a game. So that is a powerful thing, replacing a vocalist, I think, is one of the most difficult thing. If you're changing a guitarist has his own style, but he can sort of still play the music. Where a vocalist is a complete different thing. I mean, your vocals are different. You have different styles. You can't necessarily do what another vocalist does, and neither can they do what you do. So tell me about that. Tell me about the experience and how it felt, to fill another guy's shoes and then create your own personality by itself.
Yeah, I mean, kind of hard for me to discuss that because I have so many different points of view on that subject. Because it's like on one hand, I want to carry on the legacy that has been pre-established before I joined in by my predecessor, and at the same time, I want to adjust the older material to my style and my way of singing, and most important of all, keep the audience happy. So it can be sometimes a little bit chaotic. It was a little at the beginning for me. The first show that we did together wasn't one of my best ones, but well, the audience delivered the energy. I tried my best to deliver the energy, and ever since then we've been just improving on the performance, all of us, I think. But I mean, you can have an example of someone like, of course, I'm not comparing myself to that, but famously, Bruce Dickinson replacing Paul Di'Anno. He was at the very early stage, he was singing his songs, and he was adjusting them to his vocal style. He wasn't singing them exactly note for note, the same way Di'Anno did. He had to naturally adjust it for his own style, and I think he did an amazing job. And it's very inspiring. I think it should be inspiring for any singer who's in a position that he has to replace someone who has been in that band for a long time. It's an inspiring thing to do. You can still keep your own style and carry on the legacy that was pre-established.
You guys took it all the way to Germany and finished second, so you guys are definitely doing your jobs right.
Doing something right, yeah. I'm not sure what it is, but we're doing something right.
Well, actually, compared to other countries taking part in the battle, all the way to Germany from Poland ain't that far.
Yeah.
We drove for like 10 hours ride only.
Okay. Yeah, well, still, it's pressure. I mean, you're competing against some of the best bands in the world, from all over the world. So I think that is a level of achievement that very few actually could say, and well done for that. Is it a band? So all these bands are either they are a band or they're not a band. It's obviously specific to metal. So you guys must guess, is it a band or is it not a band? So the first band's name is Municipal Waste.
It's a band.
Yes.
Of course, yes.
And then the second one is called Pick Destroyer. Is it a band?
Sounds too silly to be a band.
I would call a band like that, so I'd say yes.
I know, but you have no taste.
Probably exists, but
maybe
never
it's
heard
like
of them.
a band. Yeah, I don't know.
Okay, it is definitely a band.
Ah.
Okay, and then the first one is Tornado of Hamsters.
In Poland, it would be.
In Poland, it would be exactly.
Uh,
I think it's not. I would assume it's not.
I would
That's
also
it.
say not, but it may be a grindcore band or something like that.
it's definitely not a band. And then the next one's called Rainbow Vomit Explosion. Is it a band?
Pete, it's your field of expertise.
It sounds about right. Yeah, like also slam or grindcore, but it's all random stuff.
I say no, but you may know better.
No, it's not a band. It's not a band. Job
So
for
many
a
good
cowboy.
bands.
Is it a band?
Yeah, that's
So
a band. Yeah,
That's a band. That's a
yeah.
band. Yeah, even I've heard of them. Yeah.
That's definitely a band. Chainsaw Pony Express. Is it a band?
Chainsaw Pony.
Express.
Never heard of him.
Nah.
I'd say yes because Pony Express was a thing back in the Wild West, so I'd say yes.
But why the
No,
chainsaw?
it's not a band.
Yes.
We're not doing so good.
That's what I like about this game. No one does well. Killer Otter Rebellion. Is it a band?
Sounds scary, so probably yes.
Don't search
It's
it.
not. Angry Clown Parade. Is it a band?
No, there's Insane Clown Posse, but that's a different thing. Angry Clown Parade. I don't know.
It's a no.
But it would be hilarious.
This either they're clowns or there's parade. You can do both.
Okay, it's not a band. And then the last one, Extreme Noise Terror. Is it a band?
It is.
It is a band. It's a band from America. It's a grindcore band. So I'm just going to do a bonus round because we had some random stuff here. So this is a question from the last interview I did. So the band's name is Bathtub Shitters. Are they a real band or is it made up?
It sounds like a Gutalax kind of band, so yeah.
It is a band. It's a grindcore band from Japan.
Yeah.
Dude, what a combo.
So Japanese people know how to party. So tell me, live performances and touring. How do you guys? I think let's go to Hippie. How do you prepare for when you're about to go on tour or play shows? What is your thing? You know, what do you do to prepare for these shows?
Well, first of all, settle all the transportation and accommodation, all that kind of stuff, because it's the backbone of entire event. So unless we can get anywhere and don't have anything to stay for the night, there's no point to going or even play, because during the last tour we have so many missing days. It was like we had only book show for every 2 days, and there were so many empty slots between. So as soon as we settle everything, all the bookers, local venues, accommodations, the plan of the journey, then we can finally move to preparing the show, depending on the time we have and the stages we are about to play. So usually we prepare one show for entire tour, just to make sure that every last one from the audience receive the same experience. And I think it's easier to do repetitive show because every next one is better than the previous. So we always try to make the set unique for some period. leave some mark, to add something new. I'm the kind of a guy that's always trying to add something. The constant improvement would be my trademark, because there's so many possibilities. You can always do something better, to expand in new direction, explore new areas. So every such event, such opportunity is a chance to do something more, to add something on top what we already achieved.
Mm. Yeah, so I think people misunderstand what you were saying now is so true, you know. People misunderstand what being in a band is about. They think, yeah, you're playing a show and you they don't even think about practices. They just think you come and you play a show. But when you are booking a tour, there is so much that goes into it. There's all the equipment that needs to get to the show. There's the booking of the places where you're going to sleep. There's the arranging of food, you know, like where are you going to sleep over? Where are you going to stop? You know, what is your drinking budget? Because that's a thing for bands. But yeah, there's a lot that goes into this thing, and I think the general public doesn't realize it.
Yeah.
And from a business point of view, because you need to run a band like a business. Because I think there's not a lot of money in music these days, but um, you know, you don't want to go out and just make financial losses, you know. So Pete, being in the band the longest, tell me about, you know, the process and or tell me about stories that has went wrong in the past when you were on tour.
Actually, well, when it comes to being on tour, I would say that we were very successful in that, thanks to Hippie's organization and all the stuff that he planned, because we were on two international tours that covered Germany, Sweden, and Denmark, and both of them were very successful. I would say we didn't lose any money on them, so that's a great success. But yeah, I would double what you said. People don't realize how many things you have to know to run a band.
Tell me about band disputes. We all have those where one of your band members just pisses you off. So tell me, how do you guys handle band disputes?
I mean, there weren't that many major disputes, at least ever since I joined in. And this new lineup has been working pretty well together. I mean, we treat each other like brothers, and there's a mutual respect, both in when it comes to touring and when it comes to, you know, working on an organizational point, and also most importantly, songwriting, because uh, each one of us wants to add his little piece of the puzzle to the big picture. And sometimes there will, of course, be differences on like creative differences between each one of us, but we always manage to find like a middle ground on which all of the sides can agree on. So it's yeah, we're working pretty well in that regard, I think. No toxic atmosphere or anything like that.
Yeah, well, that helps. So another question: when you guys go to studio, I don't know how you guys record. I couldn't find the information, but so modern times, the home studio has become very popular, and then there are still bands that go to the traditional studio and do it with a producer and all of that. So I think Hippie, tell me about your experience about with recording. You know, do you guys do it in a home studio or do you actually go to a studio?
Well, let me start with maybe general coverage. So it's classic studio. Everything is doing on location, mainly due to the equipment needed and the experience needed to deliver best possible quality material. None of us is really that much into recording processes and equipment usage, as it should be, in our opinion, on the professional level. So yeah, the album that we are currently preparing has been recorded in several studios. To be fair, depending on mm, on what we needed. So the drums needed some kind of room. Drums were recorded here. Guitars got some other requirements. Okay, let's do this then, and so on and so on. Vocals, yet another studio because of some uh, technical aspects. So we still wanna cultivate the old school, the classic way, but we do not say no to the new solutions, new technologies as well. So we kind of mix both the old ways with nowadays, and I think it will work out pretty well.
Tell me about working with a producer. A bit of a dispute amongst ourselves, when it comes to, do we need a producer? So when we are recording, as a musician, all of you guys would know this. When you write a riff or a lyric or a vocal style or whatever, or a drum piece, you feel sentimental to it because this is a part of you that you've done. So you don't always like it when your bandmates will tell you, like, we don't like what you are writing or whatever. So it's good to have a producer, because a producer is not a man that's in the band, or a woman, but it's not a guy that's in the band. It's a guy outside the band looking in, saying, guys, like, let's do this. And so how do you feel about the use of a producer? And do you guys have a producer? And tell me a little bit about him.
Yeah. So when it comes to a producer in general, I would say that we wouldn't mind, and actually we had to. In Mankind's Odyssey, it was Damian von Zbiernacki of the Montażownia studio. It was the studio that the album was recorded and mixed. And currently, I would say that our producer would be Maciej Szope, because he's our friend that helped us to choose the studios in which we recorded all the instruments. And at the moment, he's preparing some mixes, some test mixes for us to see how the album sounds. And I would say that having a producer is really useful, but the key to working with producer is not to let him walk on your head too much. I don't know if that makes sense in English, but basically what I want to say is that if you have a vision, if you have a intended sound and intended instruments, etc., you should hold on to it. You should also listen to all the advice if he has, especially if he has more experience in recording with you. But if you have some ideas, I think you should hold on to it and firstly listen to how it sounds and then decide, and then listen to advice and maybe change some things if you are not experienced like us.
So, Captain, tell me, what can we expect from you guys in the near future?
Oh, we've been working pretty hard on the follow-up album, the second one, the first one with me on board, as well as Jasper the Phaser, the other guitar player. And yeah, the album's going to be called Sentinels of New Dawn. I think we can start to slowly reveal that element at least. And it's a little bit different. It's going to be a little bit different than the first one, both production-wise as well as composition-wise. We added more classical, I think, more classic heavy metal elements to it. Some mid-tempo tunes, some other instruments. I've brought in one song that features a Turkish instrument, which I don't know what's the English pronunciation of it, but I think it's called saz. At least in some areas they call it that. We added that as a bit of a to add something more, a little bit different to the music that we have on the album. And lyric-wise, we just continue on because Aquilla has this pre-established lore. The lyrics from the first album, they all it's kind of like a concept album as well as this one. They all take place on this distant planet. It's far, I don't know, thousands of years. Pete, correct me if I'm wrong. Thousands of years into the future, mankind has left Earth. What's left of mankind has left Earth, and they found a new home on a different planet. And now it's several years into the future, even further, and we are just, all the lyrics tell the story of trials and tribulations and whatnot, and what's going on this new home for mankind. Kind of apocalyptic in some places. Yeah, we continue on with the building up the lore.
Yeah, if I may add, if Mankind's Odyssey was a description of the times when people arrived on Ivadera on the planet, Sentinels of New Dawn will be a description of all the factions and all the wars and conflicts that happen afterwards.
Awesome. So tell me, Pete, tell me about why did you guys initially chose the theme, this space theme that you guys have?
Initially, it was a bit random, I would say, because when we started writing the first songs like Sunrider or Falcon 9, it was just a teenage hobby, like science fiction and space stuff. That's why one of our songs is Falcon 9, because one of the members back then, Michael Hex, he was really obsessed with SpaceX, and he said that we have to have a song about Falcon 9. But actually, our first songs, Breaking the Night and Zero, weren't sci-fi themed. They were just songs about random stuff like kamikaze fighters. And actually, Breaking the Night, I don't even know if the singer Paul Wernick, who wrote the song, even he doesn't know what is the theme of the song. He just wrote some random stuff. But yeah, later, years later, it just became our thing to write science fiction songs. And then on Mankind's Odyssey, we came up with the concept about mankind leaving Earth and Ivadera, as I just said. And yeah, right now I would say space is a great vessel for all kinds of ideas, because if we feel like writing a song about werewolves, we can write a song about werewolves in space. If you would like to write a song about war, yeah, wars in space happen all the time. So it's just space is a great way to wrap all of these ideas in one big bowl and present it to people in a cool way, I would say.
If I can add one thing, not much place for party songs in space is the metalheads love to listen about drinking and partying. So we are still missing on that, guys. I think we need to write a song about space party.
Well, there is a band from Israel, Alien. You would have to peep that out, but Alien F, and they write songs about parties.
I don't know. Say it out loud. I don't know it.
I don't know if I can.
Well, imagine having a party in space. Isn't that a cool idea?
Yeah,
I think it's
absolutely
brilliant. So, Hippie, tell me about Poland's music scene, the metal scene. Are you guys getting good feedback? Let me know.
As good as possible, I guess. But to be completely fair, Poland is mostly the extreme metal scene. Black metal, death metal, ruling these lands, and heavy metal is always present, but still somewhere in the background. So we're doing our best. We are, cutting through all the obstacles and always looking for possibilities. There are plenty of great bands, but in my opinion, promoters, bookers, the bigger ones, are still a little bit afraid to push heavy metal bands a little bit forward. and I really hope that will change, because I can already observe that heavy metal is coming back, not only in Poland but in general. For example, on the Wacken, we're doing nothing, nothing spectacular, nothing new. We're just coming back to the 80s, bringing 80s back, and right now it's once again, I think, on the move forward to advance, and yeah, fingers crossed to bring that even further, push it further on the bigger stages. Not only us, but the entire heavy metal scene, classic heavy metal scene in general.
So it sounds a lot to me like you guys have a very similar issue than we have in my personal band. South Africa is very death metal. We have black metal as well, but it's very death metal. All these bands are coming out and they're heavy, heavy, heavy. So we are metalcore almost. So we're a little bit softer than the death metal guys. So we don't fit in with the metal group because we're too soft for the metal group. And we don't fit in with the rock group because we're too heavy for the rock group. So it sounds like you're very also sitting like sort of in the middle between that. If I listen to Hippie tell the story, how do you feel about that, Captain?
Yeah, the heavy metal has always been sort of in the gutter when it comes to Poland, but we did have some semi-legendary bands in the 80s in here. The two biggest names, I think, were Turbo and TSA. But it was still, even back then, the 80s scene in Poland was dominated by thrash, then segueing into death metal, and in the 90s the black metal scene emerged, and it was like, to this day, most of the audiences in Poland is a little they kind of like desperately almost focused on just the extremes, the death metal scene and the black metal scene, which I'm not against, because I love those genres as well. But it does it has both its pros and its cons. The cons are that it's a little hard for us to, break the barrier and finally start getting recognized and fully embrace our potential. But the pros are that because of, I'm not going to say the lack of heavy metal bands, but the smaller amount of heavy metal bands in Poland, the competition is uh, equivalently smaller, and that allows us to get more recognition with what we are doing. And I think that instantly, whenever you play a heavy metal in Poland, I think you're automatically more easily recognized than if you are just another black metal act or a death metal act. And eventually, if you're stubborn enough and you continue on with your band for years and years, as happened in the case of Aquilla, you can harvest the fruits of your labor. And that's what is slowly starting to happen for us.
Well, that's great. Thank you guys so much for coming onto the show. I appreciate it. Tell me, last question, social media, streaming platforms, where can people find you? Where can they read about you? Give a shout out there.
Everywhere.
Yeah, basically everywhere. Facebook, Instagram, Spotify, Apple Music, all those stuff. Amazon Music. Wherever you want, you will find us.
Remember to like and subscribe.
Yes.
Or wherever you don't want, you will also find it.
Usually it's Aquilla or Aquilla Official.
Yeah.
Okay. So if you want to find them or not find them, you'll definitely find them all over the place. Thank you guys so much for coming on. I really appreciate it. It was great chatting to you guys.
Thank you for having us.
Thanks, man.
Yes,
Appreciate
thank
it.
you.
Glad to be here. Till next time.
Until next time, I've been Hardman.